Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation.
All right, welcome to the Lockdown Coverage Podcast from the Prime Coverage Sports Network. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me on X and on Instagram. Don't forget to follow the network at PCSN Media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Sean, you're already getting comments, but introduce yourself.
All right, I am Sean Davis, based out of the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and as Wegs already said, a couple of my friends are already following as we air tonight. Grateful for that.
And we have a new member, Mr. Denzel, aka Zell Smith. Introduce yourself, sir.
Yes, I'm Denzel Smith, aka Zell, from Chicago, and I'm glad to be on this show.
Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We're pinch hitting for Tip. He's I don't know what he's doing. He's busy. He's a busy man. He had his birthday last week. Maybe he's still recovering from Mardi Gras birthday combined. Let's post your comment. Look at this guy. I'm just telling you, Sean is kicking it. Sean is a beast already. He's got the love. We haven't even started. They got that posted. So let's give him.
He'll be happy he was featured. Believe me.
Let's give him something to remember. Let's go over league notes first. A lot of things have happened, even though it's not like an active league year right this second. But let's talk about the sadness first. Rondale Moore, obviously Minnesota wide receiver who was with the Cardinals, with Atlanta. Apparent suicide. We'll see what happens. There's still an investigation into the death. Sad situation. Rondale's a great player at Purdue. Did tons of stats from all records. He's a really great guy. Sean, I'll go to you. You're more local. Have you heard of any more local coverage of what's going on or what happened with Rondale?
Well, it certainly caught me off guard. It was during the event we were talking about before we went on the air that I found out about it. Very, very, very tragic situation. Believe he was only 25 years old. I remember how excited the Vikings were when they brought him in last year. They thought he could be, one of those versatile guys, one of those speedy guys who could play the third wide receiver. Then, unfortunately, the injury comes around, and I don't know what it was, but apparently, he had some demons that he was dealing with. And all I can say is, if something's going on, just talk to somebody. It's tragic that we have to see more of this kind of thing.
For sure. Zell, any reaction to that when you saw that this weekend?
It was a shock to me because Rondale Moore has been getting injured for the past 2 seasons,
Right.
He's a heck of a receiver from out of Purdue. He played with Arizona, and he was supposed to play this year in Minnesota, but preseason injury knee, it got messed up again. So it was a shock to see somebody who's that young go away so soon. And NFL players, they go through a lot of stuff. So we don't know what he went through outside of the injuries or outside of many organizations. So it was just sad to see.
Yeah, we can only speculate only so much. So
yeah, hopefully, just like you said, Sean, get some help if you're out there. It's tough out there. There's CTE. There's all these different things that the players deal with and outside family too. So let's talk about some lighter stuff. As a Bears fan, I know we talked. Zell's not really a Bears fan, but he's from Chicago. We can bring him back to our side. I saw a very interesting post on X that, there's Caleb Williams with Max Crosby at the O'Hare Airport. I may be AI because they fool me all the time, but I would be very excited because he definitely wants out. And it was requested a trade out of the Raiders, and the Raiders are going to in a rebuild mode. The Bears are kind of at the top of their game. Zell, what do you think about that? Do you think it's just trying to get me too excited, and now I'm taking the bait, or do you think that it's got some validity to that?
Now, this is a very interesting topic. Before Max Crosby and Caleb Williams, I think they linked up on his podcast earlier this week.
Yep.
And a lot of Bears fans was talking about this because they want Max Crosby for this team. They think he's a great defensive player, which he is. But when you play for a sorry organization like the Raiders, who hasn't been anywhere in a long time, you just get tired of losing. And I know Max is tired of losing. So it's hard to say because this NFL is a business, and you could try to trade for Max Crosby, but who would the Bears actually give up? That's that's what it comes down to, actually. And if Max Crosby wants to go to the Bears, he needs to put that in the Raiders' ear. But the Raiders, they don't want to trade him to another team that's good, so they'll probably try to trade him. Or from what I'm hearing, in Las Vegas, they want to keep him. They want to keep him, so they're going to try to build their team up this year. But that AFC West division is tough, so I don't know how they're going to keep a superstar like that happy.
Right. It's a long road up for the Raiders. Sean, I know you're in the division with Minnesota, but
yep.
Do you think this is fool's gold? It just obviously gets a lot of clicks. I mean, I clicked it. What do you think?
Well, I think they want to keep Crosby in Las Vegas because of how good a player he is, but they're already in the process of starting over. So if there is any validity to these rumors, I would expect if they dealt them to a team like Chicago, they would want a hefty return because Chicago was already a playoff team last year, and it would be an excellent opportunity for the Raiders if they got a hefty return back because as I said, they're already starting over, and everybody knows the Chicago Bears are more known for their defense than offense over the years. So just another defensive playmaker if he were to go there, but I'm guessing he won't budge unless the Raiders are blown away with an offer from some team that, they maybe don't have to deal with, which, obviously would be an NFC team like Chicago. They wouldn't have to see too much. So that's my input.
Yeah, I mean, my take, it's a lot like the Khalil Mack trade. What was that, 10 years ago? I mean, we'd have to give up the farm and have to think that he's going to put us over the top, which he might. I mean, they didn't have much of a pass rush last year. They played good in the playoff games, but that was because they were just blitzing the house when they didn't have really they got a guy from Washington, is pretty good, but he's not at the caliber of Max Crosby, who's just a madman. I mean, the guy just pummels that offensive line, and he plays so hard for a team that's terrible. So you can only imagine if he's playing in front of the faithful at Soldier Field, he'd go crazy for us. And obviously, he's a very driven guy. So I'd love to see it personally, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, would you see him going anywhere unless they had something big lined up for the Raiders to get in return?
I mean, they're going to give up picks. They kind of probably figure they got their team. I think they got some other picks they should make, to make the team fortified for the long term. But you put Crosby on that defense that was decent. They had all those turnovers. I heard they're going to lose Nashawn Wright in free agency at cornerback. So they're going to have to get some more pressure because they had so many interceptions this year. It's hard to repeat that. It's easier to repeat pass rush than interceptions. So,
very much.
I'd love to see it, but again, they're going to give up. They might give up players. I mean, Kmet once out. I don't think they already got a good tight end over there. So it's draft picks, and the Raiders got to rebuild.
So yeah, we'll see if there's any validity. I'm sure before too long with the combine and the draft coming up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about another story that kind of, again, I'm just on X looking for stuff. Nick Sirianni of the Eagles, he's not my favorite coach, to be honest with you. I don't think he's the greatest, but saying he, quote, can't guarantee that A.J. Brown's going to return, which I understand he can't. He says that he can't guarantee he's going to return, which, Eagles fans, whatever. Zell, what do you think? Do you think we talked a little bit about A.J. Brown last week before you're on here, that he obviously wants out or wants to be traded? Do you think they're going to get rid of him, or do you think they're going to figure out a way to keep him happy in Philadelphia?
I don't even know where to go with this. So I haven't been paying attention to Philly, but I seen, Philadelphia's games was aired a lot this season. Oh, yeah. And from what I've seen this season, I think A.J. Brown should go somewhere else. I mean, because you had too many coordinators come and go, and when your wide receiver is complaining that he's not getting as many touches as he should, which I thought was correct because he wasn't getting any touches. I was seeing Mr. Quarterback, running a lot more than throwing. And when you got two receivers that are star receivers, you might want to, give yourself a lesser load to handle. So if they keep him, they keep him. But that offensive coordinator has to come in there and tell the superstar, like, you got to do what you got to do to make your team happy. And this team has won the Super Bowl. So Hurts got to get his act together, or that offense is just going to be like last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Sean? You think the same thing? You think we talked about it last week, but Sirianni's not exactly selling the media that he wants to keep him.
No, he's not. Yeah, but like you said, we talked about this last week. The coaching staff in Philly is a little bit on the messed up side. Not everybody likes each other. Not everybody trusts each other. Like you said, Denzel, they didn't throw the ball a lot to receivers last year. Pretty down year for that. And I think that's why their offense took a big reason why the offense took a step back like they did. They really weren't all that prepared for that playoff game against San Francisco. They were very lucky to have been in that game at all. They made an interesting offensive coordinator hire, as we talked about last week, too. And it's like Sirianni said, can't guarantee he's back, guarantee Brown's back. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe they'll realize their mistake in the offseason and try to feed the ball more to the receivers and not have Hurts do too much. But whatever it is that's going on with A.J. Brown, they have to solve in a hurry. So, truthfully, I'm not sure what happens to him just yet.
Right. This is kind of more of a minor story, but I thought this was interesting. Sean Payton of Denver, head coach, he said he's now calling plays in 2026. Davis Webb the third, the new OC is going to call the plays. I find this kind of, I don't know about that. I mean, Sean Payton's still going to be in his ear, isn't he? He's going to have the clipboard up to his face. He always gets that clipboard up close. He's telling things. So what do you think, Sean? Is it just kind of trying to give Davis Webb some, give a little confidence since he's a pretty new coordinator, or you think he actually is going to give the reins over to the new guy?
Well, given the way their season ended, maybe he wants to try something new. I think Peyton's better off calling plays by himself. We all know the kind of success he had in New Orleans, although that was Drew Brees running the show while he was there, one of the best ever to play the game. I doubt this is any kind of scapegoat move. I think this is more of a confident move in, Davis taking the reins. So, Denver, didn't play the greatest offense, especially, in the AFC Championship game. Elements somewhat to blame for that, but it's a tough division they play in. So, maybe this will help Denver stay at top next year. But I expect Kansas City to give them a run for their money again.
All right, Zell, what's your take? You think that well, first of all, I don't know if you were excited about this hire, Davis Webb the third. Never really was. I guess he was elevated maybe in a quarterback coach, but he's just playing the league a few years ago. He's not like he's a lifetime play caller. What do you think about this news?
Like Sean said, towards the end of the New England game, that offense was not how it was when they played against the Bills. And people can say it probably was because of the weather, but that's just an excuse. You're here to play. So, him calling less of the plays, I don't know. I have to see how that goes, because when he's calling the plays most of the time, that offense looks pretty good. But towards the end of the season, it just was like, meh. Like, it was a whole bunch of times where I thought, like, you can go for a field goal a couple of times, but a lot of coaches, they want to go for the touchdown, and they want to do some plays that might throw the other defense off guard. But, hey, if it means the offense will be better, okay.
And it may not even be a permanent move. I've seen this more than once where, coordinators will, alternate play calling in between weeks. Peyton could very well take back duties if this doesn't work out. So this could be permanent, maybe not. We'll soon see.
Yeah, to me, it's like McVay. Does he call every play? Probably not. I mean, the offensive coordinator probably puts in the game plan. He's calling the big plays. He's calling maybe the first 10 plays that they script is out of the offensive coordinator under those big offensive head coaches. But when push comes to shove, I mean, come on, Sean's going to call the big play, isn't he? I mean, he's the head coach, so maybe it's just kind of division of duties and giving the vote of confidence for Davis Webb. Let's talk about the other Minnesota story, since we got the Minnesota guy and we've got Silas on there. Former Vikings GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who was fired early off season. He's been showing up in San Francisco under disclosed role, maybe personnel. What are you hearing about this, Sean?
This you know about as much as I do.
No.
It was pretty obvious that Queasy didn't work out in the long run here.
Yeah.
I think he's back where he's familiar. So I doubt he's gonna have. He may be a special assistant to the GM. Who knows what his role is gonna be? But being back in a place where it's familiar for him, maybe that's the best thing for him. Maybe he wasn't ready to be a GM, or maybe he's just not GM material.
Yeah. Zell, were you surprised because when we talked about this when he got fired? Were you surprised he got fired in Minnesota? And the main reason was attributed to the two quarterbacks doing well.
Not really, because it paid in favor for my team. So
that's true.
It paid in favor for me, but at the same time, like this is a guy that let go one of the quarterbacks that gave Minnesota a nice record last season before he got kicked off this season for a younger quarterback, which that's what most of these GMs they want to do. They want to draft a quarterback that they see that can probably fit the offense. And I'm not gonna lie, I just thought like that was not a very smart decision. I think they should have just kept Sam Darnold. But who am I? I'm not the GM. And whatever his role in San Francisco, don't let him have no control over the roster. Please don't.
At least not without observing somebody who knows what they're doing first.
Yeah.
But John Lynch told the media, I believe today, that whatever role Queasy will have, it'll be announced after the draft.
Probably a special advisor.
More or less, I would guess, yeah.
Let's talk the one more thing I want to talk about. I did see posted that for cuts that Atlanta is going to cut Kirk Cousins in the offseason coming up like in a week or whenever they're going to do it. Obviously, he played good down the stretch. He's obviously was great in Minnesota. He's getting older. So, Zell, is this news at all? Do you think he's going to end up someplace as a starter, or is he going to be on the bench again, kind of tutoring a younger player?
I would like to be Kirk Cousins right now because he's getting paid. Like he's getting paid a lot of money. And to see him get cut, this is news to me because now we have Atlanta basically going with Michael Phoenix. But at the same time, he's coming back from an injury.
Right.
So Atlanta has to find a good backup or a good placement holder until Penix get back. But seeing Kirk Cousins go, I mean, it worked good in the first season. He had a couple of good games under his belt, but then he started to decline, and the coach Morris gave up on him. So it was just like, we drafted Phoenix, and we're gonna give him a try. And Kirk Cousins was just like, okay, I'm getting paid anyway, so it is what it is. But Kirk Cousins wanted to go to Atlanta. He got his money's worth. And I think he'll be a good veteran presence on a team that's, that needs a backup. But at the same time, it is what it is.
I mean, nobody's made more money being like a third or fourth round pick than Kirk Cousins. I mean, this dude has gotten so much money from Washington, then Minnesota, then Atlanta. I mean, the guy shops at Kohl's. I mean, he has Kohl's cash. So the guy's got to be socking away the retirement stuff. What do you think, Sean? Do you think that he's going to end up as a starter somewhere? Or do you think he'll end up as a backup at tutoring a younger?
Well, first I got to say that, Kirk Cousins' agent has got to be rolling around in some of that Kohl's cash or the real cash too. Woo. An amazing for a guy who's only won one playoff game in his entire life.
Yeah.
That's one amazing agent. But anyway, so the situation for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta was an interesting one from the start, because right after he signs there, he's informed that they're going to draft another quarterback anyway. He did not know this, but embraced the situation anyway, as a real professional would do. No, because the reins were pulled on him so early his first year. Despite a few good games he had, he probably had a short leash. His first year in Atlanta to begin with,
Sure.
and now, he didn't play much last year. They decided to release him as of the last couple of days. They still have to eat up $35 million in cap space over the next 2 years for that release. But that's good for other teams who do want his services. And based on what, the whispers coming out of here in Minnesota, I would not rule out a Kirk Cousins return. It's bound to be an open, yeah. And I say that because it's bound to be an open quarterback competition. And Coach O'Connell didn't exactly give him a vote of confidence recently. And there's for good reason for that, given a lot of his play last year. So Kirk would probably prefer to go to a place where he can still start, but he's also older now. So maybe he can go to a place where he can win a competition. And in Minnesota, I could see it being a win-win because whether he wins or loses the competition, the leash could be short on the starter, and Cousins could provide good mechanics for JJ because while Cousins' tenure here was up and down, he gave him some good football. So I think he can teach JJ some mechanics that he has.
Yeah, he doesn't want to throw with his whole body every time he throws the football and throws back out. But you might be right. I mean, Cousins got to end up where a place that has a good offensive line because dude's not mobile and his Achilles is not great. So there's plenty of places he can land. That's for sure.
And he's familiar here too, so that's why I wouldn't rule it out.
Did you see him back in Minnesota?
Yes, I know he wasn't mobile there either.
I'm not saying it's for sure where he'll end up, but I think it's the reality is becoming more of a possibility at this point.
I could see him back in Minnesota, but so you say it's going to be a quarterback competition? Is Wentz still going to be there, or?
I doubt it. I'd rather really rather not see Carson Wentz back. His best days are behind him.
Yeah. So it'll just be a two-man competition. That'll be exciting.
And I don't know whether Brosmer will be the third stringer again. He was just not good when he played last year. He wasn't ready for the speed of the league.
The max. Let's talk about a couple things we kind of talked about last week, and it's kind of confirmed. Looks like Kyle Pitts will get franchised. It looks like he will. We did talk about Pickens looking like he's probably going to get franchised as well. The Jets are looking to franchise Breece Hall, but I saw he was like, if I get franchised, I'm going to retire.
Oh, my God.
What do you think of that, Zell? You think he should retire? What is he, 24, 25 years old?
Breece Hall is still young. I used to like the Jets. I used to like him when Mark Sanchez was the quarterback. So if he gets franchise tag, it's funny because this organization is just terrible.
It is.
From the worst thing I think that came out for the Jets this season is when the owner said he didn't want Justin Fields starting, and Justin Fields didn't know about it. So I felt like after that, I was just like, oh, yeah, this organization is going downhill. Yeah. Way downhill. Downhill. And it's just, if Breece Hall gets franchise tag, and I know he's going to hate that, and I know deep down in the back of my head, I know the Jets are going to do that because they need a running back.
They do.
Yeah. If he retires, that would be the funniest thing ever. Because he will rather retire than to play in that green jersey ever again.
Sean, your guy, by the way, I got to show this comment. He doesn't want Kirk. He's not Kirk O'Shane's anymore. I'll pass on that train. Teacher, yes. Starter, no.
Well, he's got a point, and yet he doesn't, I suppose. He could be mentor. He could have a little bit left in the tank. We'll soon see.
Let's talk about the actual free agents that there's going to be more, but the biggest one probably on the market this year is Trey Hendrickson, right? So Cincinnati, he's going to be a free agent. He's likely not to be signed by the Bengals. He's going to get paid. I'm not sure where he's been married up with teams. I'm sure that the tamper period starts in a week or so. So then he can go and he'll get signed on the 11th of March. Sean, have you heard anything where he might end up or where he wants to end up?
I have not heard anything new that suggests he may be going elsewhere, but Cincinnati would be wise to re-sign him, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But Zell, anything on that? I mean, look again. The Bears probably wouldn't want to pay everybody, but if you can't get Max, maybe you get Hendrickson. The guy's been very productive on a pretty bad defense.
I heard like two teams besides the Bears and the Bengals, but I'm hearing Detroit wants in the mix as well.
It's a good one.
And that would be a pretty decent sign for Detroit, obviously.
That'd be a pretty scary tandem.
Yeah.
Given who's on the other side.
Oh man. And I feel like, if Bengals should try to keep him, but that Bengals organization isn't right. And when you've been with a team for a long time, money doesn't really grab their attention anymore. They want either wins or want to go see the playoffs or they want to go for a Super Bowl caliber team. Right. So if he stays with the Bengals, he probably is going to hear something that he wants to hear. But 9 times out of 10, this is free agency. And if you see somewhere where the grass is greener, you should go, take an advantage, and listen to what they have to offer.
And on top of that, didn't we talk about last week how Cincinnati was one of those teams that made real commitments to 3 players and not really much else? What can they commit to this guy?
I don't know how much,
especially with a defense that really is not good.
I might be getting a text right now to play cornerback. They got open tryouts. I mean, they got no more money to pay anybody else if they pay 4 players. So we'll see what happens. What about Mike Evans? I mean, Mike Evans. The eternal one. He didn't break 1,000 this year and 10 touchdowns, but the guy's been a stud. I've seen him tied to a bunch of teams. I would think Tampa would want to keep him, but I've seen San Francisco. I've seen New England. Sean, any thoughts there? Where do you think he's going to end up, or do you think this is all just talk to pump up the price for Tampa to pay him?
I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. I think the likely scenario is a return to Tampa because he spent his whole career there. He's won a championship, unlike that one ignorant reporter who earlier last week who surfaced for not knowing
that.
Yeah. Like I said, he spent his whole career there, but he would want to play somewhere that has a good quarterback situation. Tampa Bay has that. San Francisco has that. New England, they probably need another playmaker receiver, so I wouldn't rule that out either. We'll see what happens.
Zell, if you were a GM of a team right now, would you pick up Mike Evans at this stage of his career?
Most definitely. Mike Evans is one of the top premier wide receivers in the NFL. Even though he had a setback last year due to injuries, he's still one of the wide receivers that can get you 1,000 yards a year, And he plays with Super Bowl caliber quarterback like Tom Brady, And then he plays with Baker Mayfield, who has a resurgent career, and they complement each other well. And Tampa has some good wide receivers. They got injured last year. So, that NFC South situation still trips me up. But it's still, he should, like Sean said, I think he should stay in Tampa because that's more his game. But I'm not surprised if he listens to San Francisco. San Francisco has a good quarterback in Brock Purdy, and they need another wide receiver because the wide receiver they tried to pay, he didn't want to come back, so that's out. And
that's
then
a good point.
Yeah, and then New England. What can I say about New England wide receivers? I mean, besides Hollins.
Hollins. Kayshon Boutte. I mean, obviously Diggs is probably going to be suspended, so they need
Diggs is going bye. So they're going to need a wide receiver, but I think he should stay in Tampa because it fits him, and he's been there all his life since he got drafted.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you can make a case for all those teams we talked about, but that's where he's built his career, built his home. So that's where I see him, going. But I won't rule anything out at this point.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple more names. There'll be more in a couple of weeks when things roll out. We'll talk about all the moves. But, Khalil Mack, he's at the end of his career too, but I heard that he's going to walk from the Chargers. Again, that could be a cheap play for the Bears. I think he's seen his better days, obviously, but he could be a situational pass rusher. He's still got a lot of sacks for the Chargers. Where else could you see Mack ending up? You think it's just a contender, Sean? You think he's just going to go kind of like a la Joey Bosa or somebody like that who's trying to get a ring at the end of his career?
Very possible. Khalil Mack, like you said, is in kind of near the twilight of his career, so he may not command as much of money as a younger player would. So I could see him going back to Chicago very much, especially given the success they enjoyed this past year. He probably feels like he could contribute to that. Probably another team on the verge of a title if he believes that what he saw this year.
Zell, you want him on your Seahawks? You can get him for cheap, or maybe have to pay a little bit.
Yeah, it would be good to see Khalil Mack on the Seahawks with that defense. But I'm hearing a long time ago that Khalil Mack wants to go back to Chicago. Heard a long time ago because he talks about Chicago. That boosted up his career after the Raiders, and he has a love for the city. And he loved when he was in Chicago, and the fans loved when he was in Chicago. So, the Raiders, they gave away Khalil Mack. So what if they give away Crosby and you got Khalil Mack in that defense? That would be pretty cool to me. And I'll start watching more games. But Khalil Mack, he's a fantastic talent. He did very good this year for the Chargers, but he wants to go away, and I think Chicago can pick him up.
Yeah, if he comes, Khalil, come on over. I'll show you around. I'll show you the new spots that opened up since you left. Take you around town. There's plenty of good places for you. We'll take you on the tour. We'll show you what's going on. Last lesser name, Tyler Algier. Maybe not. Maybe you guys don't get excited. I do fantasy football, so the guy never really got his shot because he had Bijan like right there. But he's a good back. I mean, he could definitely be a starter for a lot of teams. I haven't seen any destinations for him yet, but I think he could help a lot of teams. Zell, any ideas where he might end up?
Not sure, because this guy, he was getting many touches before Bijan touched the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And when Bijan exploded last season, he was just getting less touches. And I kind of saw like Morris trying to use the 2 running back system, but he used Bijan more because Bijan was more explosive. So Algier, to me, I think he could end up, if Travis Etienne goes somewhere else,
it's true.
He can fit that Jacksonville team, that young Jacksonville team, to me.
I like it. Sean?
Jacksonville is certainly a possibility. It's a place where he'll get his touches. I haven't heard anything about where he could possibly go either. So, I'm sure time will tell on that one too. But, that's one place I could see him thriving. Like you said, especially if ETN does leave. And Jacksonville's building something good there too.
Oh, yeah.
Are we sure Walker's going to stay with Seattle? He'd end up there. He'd be in good shape, good offensive line.
Yeah, we saw what a 2-back attack can do for Seattle too.
Before Cabernet went down with his injury, it was a 1-2 punch. But I think Seattle might place the franchise tag on Walker just to keep him. And maybe if Cabernet, he has an ACL injury, so they may go and get another backup running back. And Algier, they can afford Algier. They actually can afford him.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears, guys. We got about 25 minutes. Let's talk about the draft. We're going to talk about the draft for a lot in the next couple of months. Just to kind of review, we won't go over the full draft order, but at the top of the draft, you've got the Raiders, the bad teams: Raiders, Jets, Cardinals. Your Jets, Zell. That's your second favorite team. Cardinals, Titans, Giants, Browns, Commanders, Saints, Chiefs, and Bengals in the top 10. There's obviously some other guys that get multiple picks in there, like the Cowboys, and Cleveland gets another one because they had those trades last year. So the combine technically started today. I think they start doing they did interviews yesterday. It's some testing today. On field, they don't start till Thursday. They'll start with the edge rushers and defensive tackles with the linebackers. Personally, I like watching the quarterbacks and stuff, but these guys, these are the guys you're going to watch on Sunday and just want to tear people's heads off. So, Sean, which of these guys, whether it's the edge, tackles, or linebackers, are you most excited to see what they can do? I know they're just in shorts and T-shirts, but, they're doing the 3-cone, they're doing the sprints and all that. Which of these guys are you really excited about?
Well, anybody who comes from Ohio State's bound to make a splash in the draft. So you can look at Reese there, McDonald, Styles. Let's see here.
Well, let's rephrase it.
I see you have Reese at the top of your current mock, so to speak.
That's right.
I see a few Ohio State players in there. So, they were probably the most talented team in last year's playoff. So a lot of those guys will be going in the first round.
Let me rephrase it. On defense for your Minnesota Vikings, which of these guys you want on your team?
They need some secondary help, especially if Harrison Smith does walk away. So, it's hard to say who might fall to them in 18. That's kind of no man's land in a draft order. One of the tougher spots you can have. They need safety help. They need corner help. So I could see, one of the guys like Downs or Delane from LSU, possibility for him. Needs to be a guy who's taller and speedy to keep up with the receivers in the NFC North.
Zell, you got a great defense in Seattle, so you're maybe not as excited to the first day because they've got all those rushers. But, sometimes the rich get richer at the bottom of the draft. Are there any guys in this first day and Thursday, edge, defensive tackle, or linebacker that you're keenly watching? Do you think they could get down to you at 32? Or maybe they move up a little bit, a couple slots to pick up?
I think when a team wins a Super Bowl, they're pretty laid back. And for the Seahawks to have, the 32nd pick in the first round, we're looking to add more to that defense because we have cornerbacks that are, leaving. We have Reek Wooden. Obviously, he said in a post on Instagram that he's thinking about leaving. And then we got Josh Jobe. On the other hand, he's leaving as well. So from the list I'm looking, I like the cornerback from Clemson. I like Avion Terrell. Okay. He can give he can do that coverage. Like I watched this game last year. Even though I'm not a big Clemson fan, I watched some of Clemson's games where they win and when they lost. And he stand out. He had 27 pass breakups over 3 seasons. So I can see him working with Weatherspoon and Nick. I can't pronounce his name. It's hard to pronounce his last name.
Emamori or something like that.
Emamori. Yeah, I can see him working with Weatherspoon and Emamori. So my eyes are on the cornerback position for the first round.
Well, as a Bears fan, I want pass rush, but look, I'm a big fan of the Miami dudes. Bain was beastly, right? And they had some really good defensive players. Of course, they're not going to get Reese, and they probably won't get Bain because they have to move up to get him. But I've got to start watching some tape. I'm going to watch these guys in the combine, all these edge rushers, and even tackles, because I think a lot of times in the modern NFL, you need to get that central push, kind of up the middle push, especially for some quarterbacks who can't handle the pressure up front. Baker Mayfield, guys like that. You pressure them up front. From the outside, you can always step up in the pocket, but they push them back, even to Stafford. So a lot of these defensive tackles probably will be there, at least after the first couple. They'll be there for the Bears. The Texas Tech guy, Lee Hunter's really stud, and even the Georgia guy, Kristen Miller, might be there. So, Sonny Styles is a game wrecker at the linebacker position. I wouldn't mind getting that guy too, but he's a top 10 guy, so he's just not going to happen. I guess we could talk the glory positions. You guys are just glazed. Well, let's talk also about, mentioned corners. this seems to be a lighter draft on corners for some reason. Usually there's a ton of them, which is actually kind of, I don't know if that's good or bad. It's probably bad for the NFL because you need to keep having those corners come in. So I think these 4 corners that I've listed here, LSU, Tennessee, you got McCoy, Davis, Cease from South Carolina. They're going to be premium. They're probably going to be first 2-round guys. But so you mentioned safety. Doesn't Minnesota need some cornerback help too, Sean?
I think they need cornerback help more than safety help. Smith may still have a little bit of the tank, but I think he wants to walk away on his own terms. So they need some secondary help, I think, more than anything else. So I think they'd be wise to pick a safety or a quarterback first. My guess is the best available for either one, depending on where they want to go. And the draft is going to be obviously different this year without Queasy here. So who knows what Brzezinski has in mind.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's talk about the position everybody talks about on draft day, but I think it's one of the weakest classes we've ever seen. So Mendoza's not going to throw at the combine. He's going to throw at a pro day April 1st. Which of these guys are you interested in looking at? These other guys, Ty Simpson, Neusmeyer, Beck, Cade Klubnik had a terrible year at Clemson. Drew Aller. I mean, are any of these guys get you excited? I mean, obviously you've already got Darnold. You're good. I've got Caleb Williams. Sean wants to make JJ happen, but are any of these guys getting you excited even to watch them throw it at the combine?
Sorry.
Zell first.
Yeah. So looking at this quarterback list, besides Mendoza, Carson Beck had a good season, coming from Georgia. And a lot of people thought, like, why did you go to Miami? Why didn't you stay at Georgia? Well, you could see the atmosphere was changing when he was at Georgia. And him betting on himself this year was pretty good. So even though they did not go to the ACC championship, which I thought, but as long as Notre Dame was out, I was happy. So, it's a win-win for everybody. And I think everybody was happy with that. But Carson Beck, I'm looking forward to see. Ty Simpson, he had a decent season until Indiana did what they had to do. And Cade, I'm looking at him a little bit. Drew Aller, I think it's too early for him. I think it's too early for him. And Lenore Sellers, I thought he went back to South Carolina.
Did he go back?
Yeah, I think he did actually, because I've seen the post. He said he wanted to stay one more year. So other than that, I'm looking forward to Carson Beck. But Mendoza, is he even going to be at the combine or he's not?
I think he's gonna take tests. He's not gonna do anything on the field.
Okay.
I mean, he's not gonna throw. Maybe he'll run. But he's not gonna throw the football, which that's what people want to see anyway. So he'll probably do the tests and he'll bench press or something just to do all his measurables, but he's not gonna throw the football is what we kind of want to see.
Yeah, I think he's saving his best for last. So yeah, that's just who I want to see off the list.
Sean, we got a comment. I want you to comment on it. He says Carson Beck is at best a backup in the NFL. Thanks, Justin, for the comment. What do you think? Do you think that's true?
His college days were a little uneven. I'll meet him halfway there. Looking at this, this is one of the weakest quarterback classes I've ever seen.
I know. Crazy.
The junk teams. Simpson, Nussmeier, okay years at best. Drew Aller, Penn State. I really think he hurt his draft stock this year because of how poorly Penn State played out of the gate. You mentioned Sellers. He stayed in Mateer, Oklahoma. Not really one of these guys jumps out as you as a guy you want.
No.
Taking first team reps in training camp. Maybe not even Mendoza, but he's gonna be taking the reins in Oakland not Oakland, at Las Vegas when they take him. So they'll have to prep him for the league. It's obviously a different game in the pros because it's much faster, as one JJ McCarthy found out here. So Mendoza's obviously the best among them. All these guys maybe average at best, maybe backups for a little while learning the game. Like I said, I'm not too sold on Beck myself. I'm Really not sold on Drew Aller at all.
He wasn't good.
Let's see what happens. Maybe they'll impress on their pro days or their combines.
What's crazy is I can't remember a draft where there has been only one quarterback taken in 20 years. I mean, I don't even know. Like, I'd have to go back and chart it. So one of these guys, maybe Newsmeyer, will go in the first round. I don't think Beck's a first rounder either. I'll agree with you, Justin. I don't know if he's a first rounder. Klubnik was supposed to be great. He was supposed to be a leading Heisman guy, just had a terrible year. So I only see one guy on here besides Mendoza to be drafted in the first round. And that's just never happens. You know, they always push these guys up. So maybe we're early in the process. Maybe it'll change. But it could be a really weird year for that. Let's talk about some wide receivers, because there's always good wide receivers. That makes me excited. One of the guys I want to throw that's not at the top of the draft, I just want to throw this out here because my cousin goes to John Carroll, is this guy, Tyron Montgomery, who played at John Carroll this year. He started it as a basketball at LSU and Nichols State, and like has only been playing football for like 2 or 3 years anyway. And he went to the Senior Bowl and lit it up. Everybody's talking about him. He probably still will be like a third rounder, but he's a guy that has tons of potential. I don't know if you guys seen any tape on him, but he'll be a guy that they'll talk about at the combine. You'll want to pay attention to. He's just got all the measurables, and he's a super athletic basketball guy. So have either of you guys heard of this guy before?
No,
I have not, but it's amazing what kind of stories you can hear sometimes. Like Antonio Gates not really playing it down in football before his Hall of Fame career. So you never know. He could be one of those guys that just aren't expecting anything out of him, but he could be one of the all-time greats.
Right. Zell, any of these guys make you, obviously you've got a great wide receiver there, in JSN. I'm sure that, Cooper Kupp will return, but he's obviously on the backside of his career. They may be looking at a receiver that deep in the draft, or at least in maybe the second round. Are there anybody of these guys that excite you?
Yes. Out of that list between Tate, I watched this kid's game because the Big 12 it shows a lot on TV, I watch a lot of Big 12 games late at night, and when nothing's else on. And I see Arizona State and the kid Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson, he is a sleeper to me because this kid, man, caught 8 TD passes this year. And some of his catches were catches where you can't even put the ball. And I want to go back to a game I saw him. He played against a former team that he was recruited on, which was Colorado. And he balled out against Colorado. And what made me like this kid even more is at the end of the game where he went into the opposite team's locker room looking for his former coach and Deion Sanders.
Okay.
And some of the players of Colorado, they didn't like that. But he waited outside for Deion, and Deion appreciated him. And he was crying and telling Deion, I'm sorry, coach, stuff. He said, hey, if it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't meant to be. You went somewhere else, and now look at you. Look at you. You like one of the top wide receivers on the board. And he told him to keep doing his thing, and that made me like this kid more. So I think, if he slides down to I'll say late first round, but knowing these teams, some of these teams need wide receivers. And I don't think my team would get him, but I think he would get picked up by a very nice team that needs him.
Looks like he's not going to test the combine for some reason. I have to look into that. I saw that posted, so we won't get to see him light it up, but he's going to probably have a pro day. Maybe he's healing from something. Sean, we got a comment here. I don't know if you know this guy, Denzel Boston. Justin, he likes Denzel Boston as a sleeper. Do you have a sleeper on this list? Do you have anybody on this list that you're saying, hey, I got to watch this guy play?
Denzel actually took the words out of my mouth with Tyson, like what he did. I saw a lot of Tate this year, a lot of what he did because, I follow a lot of Big Ten football. There were just times where he was just embarrassing defenses with his moves at the line of scrimmage and his open field speed. like one game earlier this year when he just torched the Minnesota Golden Gophers secondary. Tate's a guy I like a lot. Tyson, I think, will surprise people. Boston, I think, will too.
Boston definitely
those are probably the guys that stand out to me the most on this list.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my squad bears up plenty of receivers right now, but we'll see about if they're going to move on DJ Moore, what they're going to do with him. But
oh man,
I like those guys that are kind of sleepers, those third wide receivers. I mean, last year we got Luther Burden, a later round, and he really made difference in big games besides our tight end. What about running back? I mean, there's got to be some strength in this draft, right? I mean, at some point, we've got Love from Notre Dame. He's at the top. They've got the other guy, Jerian Price from Notre Dame. I don't know if there's any guys that stand out for you, Zell. You got somebody like the Oregon kid, Mekhi Hughes, who's a pretty good ball player. Do you like any of these guys?
No, I don't like in Notre Dame. I know
you're established on your Notre Dame position.
I mean, they getting the automatic bid to the college football playoffs is crazy.
Yeah.
But I really, really like the running back, Jeremiah Love. And I've seen what he's been doing since the off season of college football. Tremendous. And I really like him at running back. Also on this list, I also like Jonah Coleman from Washington. He's pretty decent. And Jaden Ott from Oklahoma. He's played a very decent game this year as well. And this may not be the flashiest running back class that we may have in this draft, but it's a sneaky running back class. And I think Jeremiah Love tops this running back class. So I won't be surprised if what I'm hearing is right. I won't be surprised if the Kansas City Chiefs pick him up. Okay. I won't be surprised because they had a setback this year. And they'll probably have a setback next year. Who knows if Mahomes rushes his process to come back? Who knows? Sure. And I think Jeremiah Love will get picked up by the Chiefs, if not sooner than later.
He's 9. In the mock that I saw, he's like at 7. He definitely could fall the 9 there. So, what about you, Sean? Is there any running backs or other guys you like that's coming up in this combine? I got a guy I want to talk about, but go ahead with anybody you were really excited on the offensive side of the ball.
Love and Price I like very much, yes. Coleman, I think he can make a difference. He plays in a really rugged Big Ten conference, which will only help anybody. Obviously I'm a little bit against Aller because of the year he had, but I'm with Denzel when it comes to who Love will go to, especially if Mahomes isn't in his greatest form. They need a little bit of help back there, so I could see him falling to that position there.
Looks like Justin's our resident draft listener. He likes Haynes from Georgia Tech, and he also likes Hemby from Indiana, who obviously had a hell of a playoff run. That guy really got things done. A guy that I'm liking that we didn't talk about, kind of glazed over, and it's not a deep draft for tight end, and it's like in some other years, but this Sadiq guy from Oregon, that dude is a specimen. That dude is all muscle and tall and fast. Somebody's going to get him. I don't know if he's going to be great. He may not have the great hands like, we talked about Kyle Pitts and some of those other guys, but he certainly is a matchup problem for somebody. So I think somebody at the lower tier will probably pick that guy up, likely second round. So what about Justin likes he likes Hemby for the Chargers, which must be a Chargers guy. I hope so. Any
Who
other
else
guys
is he talking about other than them?
Yeah, I know he likes everybody. Let's talk a little bit about the big dudes because we don't give enough shine to those guys. Offensive tackle always is the top of the draft. The Miami guy who's just a mountain of a man, Francis Maigoa. He was good. You've got a Utah guy and Fano and Proctor from Bama. So all these guys are going to get drafted. I think it's one of those years that Fano's actually on top. at least a mock right now for Arizona, and then the Giants might try to protect Jackson Dart at some point in this his career. So any of these guys, Sean, that kind of say, okay, I'm looking forward to seeing this guy. You're not going to see much of the combine per se. You got to watch more film, but who are you thinking on this group?
To be honest, I haven't seen a lot of what these guys can produce. But you mentioned the guy from Miami; he's a big dude. You got to be able to see over these tackles in order to succeed. But
it's true.
Yeah, for me, I think it's going to be a wait and see what happens when they perform in the draft before I can have any kind of opinion on it.
I got you. Zell, do you pay attention to the big guys on Sunday? You just kind of flip it on, flip to the next.
It really depends, because I've seen some big guys that's been first round draft picks and they get mowed down by the defensive line. And I'll be like, well, he won't be here long. So, I've seen a little bit of Francis, watching the college football playoffs, and he's pretty good. But I'm looking at an offensive lineman and David Bailey, and he's from Texas Tech. And Bailey this year, he's been going crazy. He's more like a linebacker type guy. He's an offensive linebacker. He has 14.5 sacks, 23 tackles, and 71 pressures. And he has 3 forced fumbles this year. Okay. So I'm not looking at the offensive linemen like that, but linebackers, I pay attention to them the most. And I think David Bailey is a force to be reckoned with. But, the combine has its ups and downs, and they could switch that around. But from what I'm seeing, David Bailey is a top 5 draft pick.
Okay. Justin's chiming in again. I love it. We need this. We apparently need to do more research. And I need pronunciation here. He's a Nigerian guy, Max Ayanakor from Arizona State. And Justin's an ASU alum. He saw him at the Senior Bowl, and apparently he impressed. And he's a big guy. He's 6'6", 330. He got the measurables, so we'll see how he does. I'm always interested, as I said, the NFL always wants the blind side protection, but up the middle, you can never go wrong with an Iowa center or guard, man. Those guys are always good. Jennings, Dunker, you'll see him. He'll be playing on Sunday for the next 10 years because they always come through with those dudes. So just to recap, that's this week. We've got, starting on Thursday, you've got the edge and defensive tackles, linebackers. Friday is the defensive backs, tight ends, and then you've got the quarterbacks on Saturday with wide receivers and running backs, and then Sunday the big dudes, offensive linemen and centers and guards. So before we sign off, remind everybody where we can find each other. Zell, where can we find you again on social media?
You can find me at on Instagram at Windy City Kid. I have to post that on here, and that's where you can mostly find me at.
All right. Sean?
And you can read it on the byline down here. My Facebook is Sean.Davich. On Twitter /X, whatever you prefer, at capital Sean, capital Davich. Sometimes Instagram at all lowercase Sean.J.Davich. That's where you can find me.
All right. Well, follow me at Wegspool on X and on Instagram, and follow the network, Prime Cover Sports Network, at PCSN Media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Well, that's our show, everybody. Lockdown Coverage Podcast. Thanks for the comments. Tons of comments, guys. I really appreciate that. We need that. Keep us going. We'll see you next week on the Lockdown Coverage Podcast.
Yeah, hey, drop.
Prime Coverage Sports Network. Real coverage, real conversation.